Hey, this is Power Card, aka Project Pat, and you're listening to the Baltimore Beatdown podcast, the best Ravens podcast on the planet.
It's pretty incredible. In fact, it's marvelous. Thank you, guys.
Okay, we're back. It is Friday, August 7th, recording this on Thursday, August 6th. My name is Jake Luke, and I'm joined by a familiar face. It is Mr. Kyle Phoenix Barber, the editor-in-chief of BaltimoreBeatdown.com, joining us here tonight. Kyle, how you doing, bud?
Doing well, man. Moved into the new house, getting the spare room set up, as you can tell. Have a little office room, so excited to be here and being on the pod, bro.
I do see what you got going on there, as can anyone who is watching this on YouTube right now. Remember, we stream these live to YouTube pretty much every single episode, but I like the setup you got going in there. It's a little bare right now, but you did just move in. Got a lot of potential. I like what I see.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Gotta get some stuff in the background. Gotta get something put up on those shelves back there. Maybe some cool photos. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You could do what Jeff Passan for ESPN does. He has a disarmingly realistic picture in the background of like a bookshelf that has like albums and stuff on it. I thought it was real for the longest time, as I think a lot of people did, but he recently revealed that it was actually just I wouldn't even say it's a green screen. It's just a picture. Maybe you could do something like that.
Good strategy. I might do that the same way. It's a good idea.
How's everything else going, man?
Been busy, man. Working on school, bartending at the new job. I'm day to day with an ankle strain after I fell off the U-Haul moving a bookshelf, which was incredibly fun. I can talk about that story if you really want to hear it, but it ends with me being in an air cast anytime I'm leaving the house at this point for the next probably 3 to 5 weeks. So, my status is questionable.
You're talking to the wrong person here, because of course I want to hear that story.
Yeah. Okay. So we're moving this big bookshelf from my girlfriend's house, and it's one of the few things that took 2 individuals to carry. And we're lugging this thing outside. And prior to us lugging this thing outside, there was a hornet's nest that we found at the front door. It was stuck up in like this little bell-shaped area thing, and in the entire like 3 inches of the like 9-inch like deep little bell was a hornet's nest. So me and my friends sprayed it, cleaned it out. No problems, no worries, no wasps came after us, no hornets came after us. We moved it to the other side of the house, no issue. But some of the hornets came back to like come back home, and it was while we were moving this bookshelf, and one was trying to land in my ear about the entire time. And as I stepped onto the U-Haul, those little ramps that they have, I stepped at the very edge of it on the left side and came off of it and landed on the side of my foot. My ankle rolled with me carrying the bookshelf, and I was the one walking backwards. And 3 of the people at least thought that I broke my ankle. They heard the pop. I felt the pop. And it's an ankle that I injure probably every year playing basketball typically, but this time it was moving a bookshelf, and I rolled it and shared with my girlfriend's mother's neighborhood, the cul-de-sac, all the expletives that I knew at the time. It was quite an injury, quite a fun event, and now I got the swelling and the bruising to explain every single time while bartending anybody who sees the air cast on my ankle.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild story, man. You do got to be careful with those U-Hauls. Helped my brother move in recently, and he almost took a nasty spill out of one. So those ramps and walking out of them, there's a lot going on there. A lot of nuance to it that you really got to be aware of.
Indeed. Thanks for letting me know now, man.
Yeah, well, listen, if you had told me, obviously I would have been all over it. How's the new place? How would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
10. Oh my, 9. We'll go with a 9. There's some we got to get the washer fixed. We were told that we were going to get a washer dryer, and this washer is not operating, so we're pretty frustrated with it because it's been like 6 days of moving and sweating and working, and I don't have any new clothes, so I'm like running bare on what's left. But other than that, I mean, I have a full back patio that's second level. It extends enough to where we got the grill on there. We have full patio furniture. Have a full living room, master bedroom. This is the first time I've ever had a master bedroom and a bedroom that connects to the bathroom in the same room. I always have to leave my bedroom to go to the bathroom across the hall or whatever. And this is the first time I haven't had to do that, which is wild to me. We got a walk-in closet, got a roommate. He has the entire downstairs. I have a garage. That's a first in my life. I mean, I feel like king of the world right now. I'm getting all these amenities that I've never experienced before, all this cool stuff with just my living space that I get to enjoy for the first time. It's been really exciting, and it's one of the few victories of 2020 that I will happily accept.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. So it sounds like the new house is good. The old lady is happy. Well, I shouldn't call her old, but
yeah, she's not old. She's younger than me.
Well, so am I. The lady friend is happy. Yeah, man. Sounds like everything's going good. Ready to talk some Ravens football.
Absolutely, I am.
Awesome. So we've had a lot going on since we last recorded, or at least I did with Spencer. I had an interview show Monday with Dave Ruff from Wash Media. Mm-hmm. Really fun interview. Check that out. So I think it's been over a week since Spencer and I talked. Since then, the NFL Top 100 wrapped up, and some things happened on it that some people were not especially happy about.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. So Lamar Jackson taking the number 1 spot. I didn't really write down the numbers for the other guys, but you had, I think, Peters coming in, a few other dudes. But yeah, I mean, the main topic of discussion that Patrick Mahomes was number 4, Russell Wilson number 3, I believe Aaron Donald 2, and Demetrius Jackson Jr. number 1.
Lamar deserves to be among the top 2. You could argue 3 if you really wanted to, but you can't argue that Mahomes is the 4th best player in the NFL. I think let's just attack this directly. Patrick Mahomes is either 1st or 2nd in the NFL. I think the case can be made for Lamar Jackson to be the number 1 player on the list. I really do believe that. And it's not just because I'm, a Ravens fan and I cover them. He was the unanimous MVP of the 2019 season, the 2nd to ever do it behind Brady. And that doesn't happen by accident. You don't vote for him just because he was exciting and a little bit fun and had some good stats. No, he was an NFL record-breaking machine. The offense was a record-breaking machine, and the team was incredibly dynamic. And that's what Lamar Jackson was, and I believe it's fair to say that he is either 1st or 2nd in the NFL among the top players in the league. Patrick Mahomes, you can absolutely argue, is more deserving of number 1, but I think they both have a case to be made for it. And regardless, Patrick Mahomes certainly isn't the 3rd best in the NFL among quarterbacks, with Russell Wilson being ahead of him. That's blatantly foolish, and can't wait for him to jot down the notes and take revenge on the NFL and running it back. Patrick Mahomes is going to be scary in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, I had a little bit of a hunch that this was going to happen. I feel like there have been some controversial numberings on these lists before in the past, and this year it kind of seemed right to happen with a very popular player, a very millennial friendly player in Lamar. Not that Mahomes or Wilson aren't necessarily that, but yeah, he just took the league by storm in terms of popularity this year. And he played more teams than Mahomes did. So these players that are voting on it, they aggregate it like by their top 20 or something like that. It's kind of a little bit out of whack, the whole thing. And like I said, it didn't totally surprise me. I think by any sort of logic or rationality, I think Wilson and Mahomes are both better quarterbacks than him. But as far as him taking the top player on the list, not something that I was overly surprised to see, overly upset to see either. I'm very happy for him. He seemed pretty jacked up about it on the video that they cut together for him, holding the number 1 plaque or whatever it was that they handed him. I thought it was all very well done. Not something I'm going to lose too much sleep over. The same thing cannot be said for our friends over at Arrowhead Pride.
Oh my gosh. They literally said that they will no longer be covering the NFL Top 100 because Mahomes didn't get number 1. Man, if Lamar would have got 4 behind Donald and Wilson, I would have been upset. I'd have been, that'd have been an article. That'd have been an easy clickbait article for me. No problem. Wouldn't have had any issues with it. But to say that they're no longer covering it because of the disrespect and shade of the Mahomes digs, and it's like, it's too much. I think it was a little too much. Little extra, as we like to call. I think it was. Come on, we can't cover it anymore. No, that's weak. And Arrowhead Pride isn't usually weak. They're incredible content. It's stuff that we, at least I know I go to every day to see, hey, what article topics are they writing about? What can I, blend in and use in the same fashion for Ravens related content. And I certainly we won't be covering them anymore because Lamar got 1 or Lamar got 4 among the top players in the NFL, but the disrespect was palpable.
If he goes on and has another season like he had last year, and let's say they win a Super Bowl, and then he comes in at number 4 on the top 100 list, I feel like the top 100 list is probably going to be the last thing I'm going to be concerned about as a fan, content creator, analyst, whatever you want to say. But
absolutely,
not to throw too much shade at them. Like you said, they do great work.
Yeah, Arrowhead Pride is renowned in the NFL community, as is Bleeding Green Nation, Niners Nation. Some of the best writing you could ask for is on those big sites for SB Nation and around the media NFL environment. But yeah, I wouldn't care if the Ravens won the Super Bowl and then Lamar got rated the number 4 quarterback. That's the number 4 player in the NFL. No, not going to happen. Not going to care. We'll write about it and say it's silly and it's stupid, but I'll just take the clicks and go home.
Yeah, it's something else, man. But I guess that's enough NFL Top 100 talk, unless you got some more takes you want to throw out there.
Ronnie Stanley deserved to be far lower in the list. And I hate when we have to say lower or higher. He should have been rated a better top 100 player. I think Marlon Humphrey is a better player than Marcus Peters. I think they should have been flip-flopped at least. And I thought it was surprising that Mark Andrews wasn't on the list at all. I figured he was going to be one of the players that was new to the scene. As we were informed, there was a couple of Ravens that haven't been on the list quite yet. But other than that, the Ravens have some incredible players, and it doesn't matter what their fellow peers vote, be it objective or subjective. The Ravens are going to go out and do work in 2020, and I can't wait to talk about it and watch it.
If Justin Tucker is not on the list next year, I will not be covering this any longer. But moving on.
Yep. Why didn't I think of that? Why? You know what? I busted my butt. I wrote a 2,800-word article about NFL kicking. That thing got less clicks than any Bubble Boy Lamar Jackson article, I bet, anywhere on the internet. It's cool. It's cool. Let's you know what? You're right. Let's be done with the 100, the top 100.
It's like the life of a special teamer. You're a special teams guy, but just in the blogging world. You're not getting the respect that you think you deserve.
I'm not. I'm most certainly not. That's for sure.
So that's enough NFL top 100 / special teams talk for now. Moving on. Ravens tight end spot in a little bit of flux. So they had picked up Jake Breland, a tight end out of Oregon, as an undrafted free agent. He cleared waivers on Thursday that they had sent him to, as I think they were like releasing him, but they wanted to get him back to IR. They didn't want another team to claim him. That did not happen, thankfully. So he will go to Baltimore's IR, but they were looking for a third tight end to fill the spot in replacement of his injury. It looks like he wasn't going to be able to play much for 2020. So it looked like they were pursuing Jordan Reed. So really durable replacement that they were going after there in Jordan Reed. Not quite. They wind up signing Jarrell Adams to compete for that third spot behind Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle. Jarrell Adams, I think a 5-year veteran at this point. He's played for the Giants, Saints, and the Texans, seen limited snaps. I think, 200 or so receiving yards, about 40 receptions on his career. A little bit of an intriguing prospect coming out of South Carolina, I think back in 2016. Had a good Senior Bowl. I was tweeting out a video that the PFF guys did down there. Collinsworth sliding in, and I think Mike Renner and a couple other guys were talking about him. So intriguing athletically, hasn't done much in his career production-wise, but I could see why they were interested in signing him to be the third guy.
I mean, he doesn't have any flashy stats, nothing exciting or excitable to write home about. I was far more excited in Breland and seeing what he could bring to the table, but that's not what came about. Looking over his stats on Pro Football Reference, as you know, I am a PFR guy. He's played in a total of 30 games. He's started in 3. He has not started in a game since 2017. He didn't play in 2018 either. I don't know if that was injury or if he wasn't signed by anybody, but he only played 1 game for Houston in 2019. Last year, he didn't have any stats, and 2017 was the last time he had any stats in a year. He had 11 targets, caught 8 balls, 92 yards, not bad for 8 catches, and nothing exciting really on the stat sheet. Maybe the Ravens can utilize him as the 3rd tight end, but as we know, even when they have a 3rd tight end, they're not heavily utilized. Hayden Hurst was the most quote-unquote utilized of the 3 tight ends because Nick Boyle has his job as a power run blocker who can also catch. Then you have the opposite effect of Mark Andrews, who is a receiving tight end who can block. We'll see what this Jarrell Adams gentleman is about, and good luck to him making the roster.
I'm intrigued by it, man. I remember Chris Sims, who I'm a fan of. He was a big fan of his back in the 2016 draft. And yeah, those reports out of the Senior Bowl that he was a guy that was putting on a show. I think with tight ends sometimes, man, it just comes down to getting a shot. It's a position where production can come to a guy fairly easily depending on the offense that he's in and, the scheme that he's a part of. And I think an offense like Roman's that is very tight end friendly, like we've talked about in the past, he was really making some magic happen with Vernon Davis and Delaney Walker back in San Francisco. We saw it happen last year with obviously the 3-headed monster of Andrews, Hurst, and Boyle. I obviously don't see Jarrell Adams or maybe Charles Scarf, who's kind of the odd man out at this point at tight end, or maybe not. Maybe you can flip him and Adams, but I feel like any one of those guys makes the team. They could do at least some stuff within this Roman offense. I feel like it's very tight end friendly, as we saw last year with all 3 of those guys having a good season.
I think that's definitely fair to assume. I think Scarf is going to make the roster as of now. He's been with the Ravens offense for at least a year. He's been working with the team for the year, and he didn't look bad in training camp last season. I know both Vasily and I covered him rather well.
Vasilis is how you say it.
Vasilis?
Yeah.
Vasilis the Basilisk? Is that it? Okay, cool.
Harry.
Mr. Lyricos is the man, and he and I both had good things to say about Scarf when we watched him in camp last year. He was actually somebody I was kind of looking forward to watching in this year. Had COVID-19 ruined my bank account, and I can't pay to go out to the East Coast if I don't have a bank account to utilize. But yeah, I mean, Scarf looked good in camp. As of now, will expect Scarf to be on the 53-man roster or part of the practice squad. I don't see Adams making it unless he comes up with some good production that Scarf can't replicate by already being ahead with the system and understanding the concepts and the ins and outs of Greg Roman's offense a little bit, more than Adams would, stepping in like he is on day one, hoping to get a shot.
I'm with you, man. Spenny and I were there a couple days last year as well with you guys. Standing outside the ropes, of course, were not as important. But yeah, watching him, kind of go after it with some of the lower level guys on the roster. He towered over them physically. I think he's got, great build, 6'6", 250, was pretty dominant at Delaware, kind of similar to Nick Boyle, who was obviously a few years before him. But yeah, I'm a big Scarf fan. I think he could make this roster and make some noise as that 3rd tight end as well.
I think that was a good point that you said, to go back just a little bit, that tight end is a position about just getting a shot. I think a lot of times, your name is so important in most skill positions, but I think tight end is one where if you can get a decent shot, if you have the size and speed, and you have a lot of the tangibles, not the intangibles, but the tangible, you have the skills there, you can really just make the most of it and get some production going, and that can take you a long way. But yeah, it's just about the initial shot at tight end for that position specifically. That was a really good point.
Yeah, and I think it's one that's well made. If you look at some of the tight ends in the league or some of the guys that line up at tight end, like Blake Bell was like a quarterback for Oklahoma. He's made plays in Andy Reid's offense. He got signed to San Fran this year. I think they're expecting some things out of him. So just having those tangibles, that athleticism, which is something that Scarf possesses, I think Adams possesses it to an extent. I think you're set up pretty well. We got Leo Sala chiming in. Hello, Ravens fan from Mexico. Hope you're doing well down south of the border. Love Mexico. Love to get down there someday.
Really wanted to go do some trips this year. My girlfriend and I were planning on a bunch of that, and that got cut short as well.
Where were you going to go?
We were going to go to Arizona for sure. We were going to either do Florida or Miami. Excuse me. We were either going to go to Miami or Hawaii was the plan. We had a bunch of money saved, and I also had enough saved to go to, do my training camp on the East Coast, go see my father, go watch some Baltimore Ravens play, and all of that got wiped out with travel restrictions, and I was out of work for a couple months. I'm grinding school at the same time, so it's okay. It's okay. We're going to power through.
We are soon, man. We're going to be vaccinated out very soon.
Yes. God, I hope so. That'd be a dream. That'd be nice, because I don't want to go to school right now. I know I'm sidetracking here, but I have some in-person classes coming up at CSU this semester. That's insane to me. Why can't it all be online? I'm okay with it being online. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to wear the mask. I don't trust college kids to stay safe. My Snapchat my Snapchat shows feeds of other people certainly not being safe, certainly not staying home. And on top of that, my girlfriend's sister just had twins on Friday, which was incredibly exciting. And we're helping babysit the 1-year-old in the meantime. So it's been stressful, and I've been staying home. The only time I go out is when I'm bartending, rocking the mask, making people margaritas and cocktails, and then I'm coming home and showering and taking care and being safe. So my dream is that other people will also follow suit, but with people coming to the restaurant, it's clear that is not what is happening.
Yeah, man, you never know what's going to happen with people, and you really can't trust them, unfortunately. That really does suck that you have to go do in-person classes, when I think it's been made fairly clear that, at least for college, like, a lot of it could be done online. I think there's a lot to gain out of a in-person college experience, but for somebody like you who's just trying to, grind it out and get it done, I feel like, online should be much more of a readily available option.
Yeah, that's what I was pursuing. I was trying to get some of my last classes scheduled earlier today, in fact, because I had some financial aid stuff that I had to take care of. So got that all taken care of, got it squared away, was scheduling the last of my classes for the semester. And it was just mind blowing to see. It's like, hey, you have 2 or 3 classes that may be face-to-face this semester. It's leaning towards being face-to-face. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to class. And it's not because I'm lazy. It's because I don't want to contract a virus from other stupid college kids. It's not because I'm lazy.
We're going to get you a hazmat suit, and you'll be just fine. You'll be sitting there in the all yellow Walter White hazmat suit, and you'll just be doing your learning that way. I
would 100% go to class in a hazmat suit if Baltimore Beatdown fans and podcast fans wanted to throw a Kickstarter for that.
We'll get that put up very shortly. But moving on from the tight end spot and hazmat suits, Ravens have also waived last year's 5th-round pick defensive tackle Dalen Mack, designated center Matt Skura to open the camp on the active PUP list. So a couple of transactions there as camp opens up.
Unsurprised by the Dalen Mack move. We expected it once the Ravens, I believe, drafted 2 defensive tackles in the 2019 NFL draft. And you knew right away when you're signing multiple defensive tackles or defensive ends, such as Calais Campbell. Derek Wolfe is a D-end sub package kind of guy. You got 2 drafted players. You got some people waiting behind them as well. You got Brandon Williams there. If Dalen Mack isn't making the leap forward, he's certainly not going to be hanging around for long. They're not scared to cut these guys. We saw Willie Henry get cut last year, and many expected him to be a surefire player on the roster. So if they're not scared to get rid of those guys, they're certainly not scared of getting rid of Dalen Mack, who wasn't contributing a lot, unlike Willie Henry was in seasons prior. So good luck to Dalen Mack. He's got the name to be a great defensive tackle and a defensive player. Nothing like having the Mack truck on a roster, but good luck to him. And that's exciting, most importantly, about seeing Matt Skura back on the roster, seeing his name on there. He had to come back from a terrible knee injury, and he's been grinding all offseason. We've seen those small clips of him getting back in the weight room, doing some squats, doing some workouts, rehabbing, and it's been successful enough to where he's going to be on the active PUP list.
Yeah, I think Mac claimed by Detroit already, correct? Maybe I'll have to look that up.
Haven't checked that out, but good luck to him there.
Yeah, but he, intriguing guy. I had some high hopes for him as well as a very physical 5th-round pick. I thought he was a dude that had some promise, but it's like I wrote in the blog when I wrote it up, just kind of a victim of the logjam, the numbers game at this point.
Mm-hmm.
How it goes to the rookie, and there's probably no reason to think that Broderick Washington or Justin Matabuke couldn't do what he does or be a little bit better at some point down the road. So I think tie goes to both rookies in this case, as well as Justin Ellis, who they brought back, made some other investments along the defensive line there with Calais, Cialis Campbell, Derek Wolfe coming in, a lot of beef along that defensive line, and he is just the odd man out in this case.
If Calais ever hears you calling him Cialis, and he can get a hold of you, I don't think your existence will last long on this earth.
I think okay, first of all, that is not the first time he's heard that in his life.
Yeah, well, I don't think the people that called him that live to tell the tale of it, though.
I don't know, man.
He
seems like a gentle giant to me. Don't you get those?
I don't think quarterbacks in the NFL would agree with you on just Calais Campbell.
Yeah, well, good thing I'm a shitty athlete and I didn't get to be a quarterback. Is that what you were trying to get me to say? Because you succeeded. Thank you.
I have no intention of ever disrespecting any NFL player, but if I have to, it's not going to be him.
It's not disrespect. He gets
flow
going to the defensive line. He, he gets all the defense standing up, erect, and at attention and ready to go. He's going to be a leader along this D-line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. So you're super poignant on that. I love it. All right. Fair enough.
So that's enough on Dalen Mack and pills that men take in certain situations.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Okay. So camp is opening up. Nice Ravens held their media day.
Yep.
I wrote down Willie Snead dropped weight to add speed. Hollywood Brown gained weight to adjust to NFL physicality. Mark Ingram believes year 10 could be his best. Never heard that before. J.K. Dobbins thinks he and Ingram will have a great older brother, younger brother relationship like me and you. Lamar Jackson is still talking Super Bowl. He and Hollywood Brown both continue to endorse the idea of Antonio Brown coming to Baltimore, the free agent receiver that was just suspended for the first 8 weeks of 2020, which is sick. Ravens reportedly still a team to watch for him. Anything catching your ear out of those tidbits?
I think it's the first 8 games of 2020. So he has to be signed onto a team and then miss the first 8 games, right? Or is it just automatic 8 weeks? I think it's 8 games. I think when you miss, when you're suspended for 8 games, it's when you're signed on a team, you have to hit it. But I'm not certain on that. I think it is though, but like I said, uncertain. More importantly though, Hollywood Brown, man, adding all that muscle, and he's still going to be just as fast. I think Garrett Downing recently posted that he already eclipsed his fastest speed in camp on his first day. And Hollywood said that he wasn't even going his fastest. He's not trying his hardest. He's not going full tilt yet, which is an absolutely exciting and intriguing thing to consider. Hopefully he can dethrone the highly praised Tyreek Hill for fastest player in the NFL, and he can shred some players like he did, in week 1 of his rookie season, where his first 2 catches went for touchdowns back to back. That was absolutely wild. As for Snead, I think that was a little interesting that he dropped some weight. I liked him where he was. He was making tough catches, but maybe if he's faster, he doesn't have to make as difficult of catches. I think he's placed in a role within the offense that he's called upon in tough situations, though, and I'd much rather have him have the strength over the agility and speed. But prove me wrong, Willie Snead. You've been the man so far, and I have no reason to doubt that player's ability so far. I think he just cut the hair and cut about 5 pounds, and he's going to be faster just from the lack of wind resistance and the weight more than anything.
What do you think about Snead for speed as a t-shirt?
I'm all for it. Is that better than the Need for Snead? or should we do Sneed?
Well, so it's kind of a double entendre, right? Because he's trying to add speed here, and his name
is Sneed. Damn, I wish I would have thought of that.
Just something. Sneed thrills, Sneed kills. Shout out to Harbaugh's shirt last camp.
Yep. I think that's a good one as well. I like your first one though more. If you're gonna have me pinned to one, I'll take the first one over that. That's pretty solid. Okay. Justin Tucker, he is a top 100 player. You know, he needs to be mentioned in as many segments as possible, obviously. But anything else that would catch my eye? I thought, I'm going to bring in, when I was a part of a couple of the Zoom pressers last week or this week, I can't quite remember. Not to brag. Yes, I'm in Zoom pressers. But Steve Saunders, praised Hollywood, talked about how amazing he was. He finally got it. He understood what was required to become a better player and a better athlete and a Raven. And he's changed his diet. He's fully rehabbed on his foot, on the screws that are in that were in there, and he's just grinding to get better. But what I asked, you might be able to clip that audio in here, maybe not. But I was able to ask, did any other players like come to camp as Hollywood did? Added this weight, did nothing but meal plans, dieting, and I'm gonna say it here that I think it was a kind of a cop-out answer by Saunders. He said he couldn't necessarily think of anybody off the top of his head that put in the same work that Hollywood did. I think but previously he did talk about how DJ Fluker came in amazing shape and cut a bunch of weight so he could step in for the Ravens and show his seriousness and dedication to joining the Baltimore franchise. But Saunders said, everybody came in and everybody's got it, at least on some level. So Hollywood's made the most sacrifices or put in the most dedicated effort of any Raven in the 2020 off season. So look for him to just blow up this year. I really expect him to, akin to what Spencer always talks about. He's the one that watches all the videos, all the clips, and he's super hyped about him. And I'm expecting great things out of Hollywood this year.
Yeah, there was that really funny joke going around about how he went into the offseason at 157 pounds and then he came out at 180 pounds and everyone was like, same. It's like a fat joke. Like they're getting fat and he's actually getting muscular. Yeah,
he looks jacked now, man. Like I remember seeing him the first day of first day of camp last year, and I was like, that guy's a little tiny. Like I'm not a big dude. I'm 5'11". I didn't even hit the 6 foot mark, and I'm like 185, but not a good 185. And seeing Hollywood come in at 180 pounds this year, he's gonna be jacked. He's gonna be the mighty mouse, and he's gonna shred defenses with strength, with speed, his agility. He's lightning quick, as we know. It's gonna be so much fun as a Ravens fan and journalist to cover what's in store for the 2020 season for Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, man, I've been riding that train since pretty much the beginning of the offseason. I'm thinking, little 80 for 1,109 for Hollywood this season. I think Spenny has jumped on that train. Hopefully we can get you onto that one as well. And last bit of news that we wanted to touch on here, didn't write this down, but came out just before we started recording, is the Steve Smith, Lamar Jackson little sit-down they had.
Yeah, that was really cool to watch. That just popped up on the YouTube channel for the Baltimore Ravens. Excuse me. But the thing that I took away from it was most importantly two things. One, not so serious, is that he talked about this. He shed tears for the first time, seeing his face and seeing him on the cover of Madden. He talked about how he didn't cry when he won his Heisman Trophy. He didn't cry when he won league MVP or all the other accolades. But when he saw himself on the Madden cover, he shed some tears. And I think that that's so many kids' dream is to be on Madden, but it's also so many kids' dream to win NFL MVP or the Heisman Trophy. But those ones didn't matter. They paled in comparison to just being on the cover of the video game that so many kids love and play every year in and year out. I thought that was pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. Two of, I would say, my favorite players in recent Ravens history. Always had a soft spot for Smitty when he was in Carolina, was over the moon when he came here and did just about as well as he could as a player in a Ravens uniform. So I think it's cool to see that he still has a pretty good connection with the organization. He's coming through here a lot, pretty much whenever he can. mostly with NFL Network duties, but I think even sometimes he'll just kind of roll through for a charity event or something like that, which is great. And the fact that he's able to kind of sit down and have a little chat with Lamar, I think it was about a 5-minute video. So you got to assume the chat was a little bit longer than that. And they seem to have a good rapport. So you like to see that a lot. And Lamar's answers were very cool. I think the whole Madden cover thing was pretty awesome to be so candid about something like that. And he has talked in the past about how not crying is a big thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
His mom told him not to cry when I believe he found out his father and his grandmother passed away on the same day. And he did, which better man than I, because I probably would shed a few tears in that situation. Video of Hollywood Brown getting drafted was hilarious because he's screaming at the TV and yelling, "Don't cry, Hollywood." So big deal for him not to cry, and he cried at the Madden cover coming out, as did a lot of other people because they thought it was ugly, which I don't agree with.
I don't agree with it at all. I think the Madden cover looks awesome. I think it looks really cool, honestly. I'm gonna have to save up some money and score that. I think I only am gonna purchase new Maddens when the Ravens either win a Super Bowl or a player is on the cover at this point, because I got 13, and that was the year that they ended up winning it, and Ray Lewis was the intro video right before then. And then I got to get this one with Lamar, and hopefully in the next 5 years, Hollywood Brown makes the cover, and then we'll be able to buy that one, or Mark Andrews or Marlon Humphrey, have a sweet cornerback defensive prospect on there. Maybe he wins something huge, and we can have him on as the cover. I'll have to buy that one too. There's a whole lot of players we could celebrate. Patrick Queen, maybe we get a bunch of players just on there, rocking Ravens and a bunch of Maddens and all that free exposure for us to maybe grow as a brand. That'd be pretty nice. But the other thing that I noticed from the interview was Lamar was really candid about saying they overlooked the Titans. They peeked ahead, and
Right.
That's what Smith asked. He said, "What was the biggest lesson that you learned from the 2019 season?" And he said, "Don't peek ahead, don't look ahead." We were 2 games from getting into the Super Bowl, and we were so focused on winning a Super Bowl that we forgot just a little bit that they didn't look at their opponent or take them as seriously as they should have. They'd been steamrolling teams all year. They won 12 straight games, and it's hard not to look ahead when your offense is clicking like that and your defense is clicking like that. But I thought that was really candid of him. Harbaugh is vehemently disagreed with them, saying that they looked ahead or didn't care enough about their opponent, and they were too focused on the ultimate prize that they didn't focus on what they had to get to it. But I thought that was really candid, and it's not as talked about, maybe because Lamar kind of already said it, but that was blatantly stated, and it's a video of him talking about it specifically. So I figured that was thought that was intriguing.
Yeah, it's nice to hear, in my opinion. Obviously, the Titans were a great team, very talented. They had some big wins even in the regular season leading up to that. They took out the Patriots, but it's nice to just hear, like, yeah, you know what? They were a great team. We're probably better, and we just overlooked them and we lost. Like, it doesn't always have to be like, oh, they're a great team. Let's cover coach speak for a minute. You overlooked this one and you lost it.
Yeah,
and it's all on you.
Yep, for sure. That was definitely what happened. Along with them, I never really believed that rust was a factor. But when you're winning 12 straight games and the starters won 11 straight, because most of them didn't play in week 17 or game 16. And so they missed that entire week. They missed the week after because that's the bye week. And then they come in on nearly 21 days of rest. And you got to go up against one of the other hottest teams in the NFL at that time, the Tennessee Titans, who were bulldozing through teams. And they just beat the New England Patriots, and nobody thought they could do that. And then they went, oh, no, they can't. Well, they surely can't beat the Ravens. The Ravens know more than anybody that you can go into the playoffs and ruin everybody's expectations on which teams are good enough to be beaten and which ones aren't.
They kind of had that coming as a franchise collectively, didn't they?
Yeah, a little bit.
You hate to see that, truly.
You do.
So I guess that's all we got on news. Ready to jump into the 2 topics that we have?
Absolutely.
Cool. So first one is ESPN's Bill Barnwell had an article. Always good to hear from Bill on this kind of stuff. He had an article talking about teams with players that have a chance to make the Hall of Fame. So he split it up into tiers, it looks like, of likely, in the running, and has work to do. He lists Earl Thomas as likely, Lamar Jackson, Marcus Peters, and Justin Tucker as in the running. Try to stay with me here. And he closes out the list with Mark Ingram, Calais Campbell, and Ronnie Stanley as guys with work to do.
Let's go down the list a little bit. So Earl Thomas, shoo-in. I don't
Yeah.
see how he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame at this point. He was the main cog in one of the most legendary defenses of the decade, the Legion of Boom. They went to a Super Bowl. They nearly won 2 Super Bowls, and Earl Thomas undoubtedly was the main cog that operated that defense. He allowed Richard Sherman to play such serious man coverage and cheat super hard and press cover every play and play so aggressively. He allowed Bobby Wagner to freewheel. He allowed Cam Chancellor more than anybody to just run up to the line of scrimmage and blow up any play that happened to come his way, or any tight end, Vernon Davis, who happened to come his way. And they had some pass rushers that operated well within the system, but the main cog of that defense was a strong free safety. The Ravens know exactly what that's like, having Ed Reed as one of, if not the most dominant, he is the most dominant free safety in NFL history, and it's exciting to see that he's one with the Ravens now too. But yeah, he's got to be in the Hall of Fame by this point. He's just adding to his stat totals to ensure that he gets in on the first try instead of on the second, third, or fourth. Is really where I'm at with that. Lamar Jackson, absolutely in the running. You win NFL MVP in your second season. You break NFL records time and time again. I think he's got to have like 7 or 8 NFL records. I know he has a bunch of franchise records, but he's already cashing in game after game, week after week with playmaking production. And he's only going to go up from here. And with the Ravens' commitment to the offense itself, he's most certainly going to be in the running for Hall of Fame. Who are the other ones on there?
So you've got Peters and Tucker as in the running. Mark Ingram, Calais Campbell, Ronnie Stanley, work to do.
All right, what do you think of Marcus Peters and Justin Tucker? What do you think about their odds? What do you think? What do you have to say about that?
I weirdly like Tucker more than Peters, not to trigger you. It just feels like a kicker getting in is obviously not something that happens too often. You had Ray Guy as a punter go in however many years ago. I feel like Vinatieri's going to get in definitely. So I think if Tucker just stays on this track, definitely going in. I think Peters is probably going to need to get a ring, weirdly, for a cornerback. That's not something you would hear very often, but being a part of a championship team and being a big part of one, I think would help him in terms of media friendliness, I think, because he's a guy who's kind of been a little bit prickly with the media sometimes. Don't really need to get into that.
That's a good word for it, prickly. I like that.
Just keep making the plays, keep scoring touchdowns, keep doing the flashy things, maybe capitalize and grab yourself a ring over the course of the next decade. And maybe you are going to be going in there. And then as for the guys with work to do, so I feel like Calais Campbell, if he gets a ring, I'd probably put him strongly in the running. Mm-hmm. I think Ronnie Stanley is in the running, but he just needs more reps. He needs more time. And as far as Mark Ingram, I'm probably a little more lukewarm on him, even than just, work to do. I think running back, it's kind of hard. But maybe a ring for him as well, and he'll be within the conversation.
Yeah, I think Ingram, he's had some great NFL production, but is it really fair to say that it's so tough with running backs because you need to be all class. You need to be so literal Hall of Fame worthy to be in the Hall of Fame for running backs. Some other players like quarterbacks, you have some great production year in and year out, and you're arguably in it. But running backs, you have to be a legendary name. And is Mark Ingram a legendary name? It doesn't feel as much possible right now. I don't have the stats pulled up. I'm more interested in Calais Campbell. I think he absolutely deserves it. He's at 88 sacks in his career. He has nearly 700 tackles. But the thing where he's short on is all pro nominations. He only has 3 total. 2 of them are second team, 1 of them first team. He did win a Defensive Player of the Year, though, which is super important with defensive tackles in that area. He has a Walter Payton Man of the Year award, and I think that does count for something in the Hall of Fame voting. It doesn't make him a better or worse player, but it does help your reputation with the Hall of Fame, and I think that does play a component in the voting itself. He needs a championship, though, to guarantee it at this point, though.
Which is why I was kind of surprised to see him on the with work to do thing. I would have expected him to be more in the running.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Bill certainly seems to know what he's talking about, so maybe he's on it from there.
He is one of the smarter individuals among NFL media, so Barnwell's got some good points to be made. But I'd like to see why he had. I didn't get to read that article, unfortunately, but I think that's. You can make the argument that he has work to do. I mean, he doesn't have 100 sacks. He only has 14 forced fumbles. But he's got 3 defensive touchdowns, which certainly counts for something in this, especially as a defensive end / defensive tackle. He's an interior defender. He's not on the edge like all these pass rushers. He's an interior pass rusher. And I think that alone speaks volumes to 88 NFL sacks. That's crazy amount of production.
For sure. Anything else on this?
Justin Tucker needs to be a first ballot if he continues with what he's done. I don't think people understand it. I'm doing the plug now. Is that cool? Can I do the plug now?
You can plug anything you want.
All right. So let's Kicking Crown 2020. So for everybody that doesn't know on this podcast for some strange reason by now, my most focused on article every single year is called The Kicking Crown. I compare the best kickers in the NFL, and I do a full statistical breakdown on why the best of the best are the best of the best. And it is a little bit lean towards the best kicker in NFL history in accuracy and just an overall production alone, Justin Tucker. No, he doesn't have the accolades of other people like Adam Vinatieri, as you mentioned, or Gostkowski necessarily, but he is the only kicker in the NFL right now with over 90% accuracy in field goal percentage. And not only is he doing it from the better than anybody, he's doing it from more significant distances. He's an incredible kicker, and I think it's aggravating that year after year we see these top 100 NFL players and the best kicker in NFL history isn't even among them because of the value of kickers isn't well thought out among other people. But so real quick, his average attempted kick distance is from 39 yards out. His career average completion is from 37. That's the highest in the NFL. His career average miss distance is over 50 yards. So Tucker on average is missing only kicks from 50 yards out. And it's not only just 50, it's 51.7. No other kicker in the NFL is that far. Nobody's in the 50-yard club either. His completion accuracy is insane. His outdoor accuracy is 90% or higher. No other kickers in the 90% club in the outdoor accuracy.
AFC North outdoor accuracy.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, throw him in a dome, and I think I wrote that was the first sentence in here was, let Tucker kick in a dome and watch him shatter records he's already making. He's already setting all these records. If he was in a dome, if he was playing for New Orleans like Will Lutz is, he would abuse these records. He'd be at 95% accuracy. I honestly do believe that. And if he wasn't forced to make these wild 61-yard kicks in Baltimore or in Cleveland or Pittsburgh, it'd be insanity what he's doing. But he's really on pace to be in the Hall of Fame. He has a championship. He was a significant reason for that championship as well, kicking that double OT winner in Denver in below zero temperatures as an undrafted kicker as a rookie. I think his story needs to be well documented for a case to be made as a Hall of Famer. His play has been out. So you can't ask for anybody better in his position ever. Nobody's been better.
On no other show and with no other person are you getting kicking analysis quite like that.
Thanks, man.
Listen up, Peter King and whoever else is voting for the Hall of Fame at this point. But yeah, okay. So is that all we have for Hall of Fame / kicking Hall of Fame talk? Yeah.
I'll end it there. Go check out the article. It's the Kicking Crown 2020, comparing the best NFL kickers. In it, you'll see links to the previous articles. It's an annual series, so I always do it right before the season starts. But yeah, that's everything for that part of the discussion on this podcast.
Good stuff. I love it, man. Last thing we had, you brought a little discussion topic to the table, higher expectations for the Ravens offense versus the Ravens defense. Why don't you start us off?
All right. Higher expectations. I actually think it's a little bit of a split here, and I'm gonna break it down a little bit. I think the offense has higher expectations because they broke the NFL record. And so people won't expect nearly that production. But the retirement of Marshall Yonda is going to throw a wrench into things. I firmly believe that. I think the loss of a perennial All-Pro guard who deserves being in the Hall of Fame or in the Hall of Fame discussion. No, not a first ballot maybe, but he absolutely deserves to wear a gold jacket at some point of in his lifetime. I think the loss of him, though Orlando Brown Jr. has done nothing but step in and make some big plays lately. I think that running game is going to take a bigger step back than a lot of people anticipate. I'm really worried that it's just going to be like, oh God, the NFL's figured out Lamar Jackson in this Ravens offense. But I'm praying that we don't see those articles and that the production continues. So I think the expectation is higher for the Ravens offense than the Ravens defense. Do you agree or disagree?
First of all, I got to clear something up. Aaron asked you, Jake equals great value Baker Mayfield.
Oh, I got to see this comment.
Come on.
Great value Baker? I wouldn't put you great value Baker.
I don't think I look like him at all. I have a beard.
I don't think so either.
Baker Mayfield.
I strongly disagree with that one. That's not a take. That's not a take. That's not even a Logan Levy take, man. That's a rough one.
That's hotter than that.
That's hotter. That's spicier. No way. No way. I'm sorry for that, man. You don't deserve that.
That's a mega tough scene for me. I'm throwing off my kilter here a little bit. What were we talking about? Okay, higher expectations for offense or defense. Yeah, I think nationally it's probably going to be the offense. But like you mentioned, I think the Yonda thing throws a little bit of a spanner in the works there. It's going to be interesting seeing them acclimate to that because it's a lot of young guys along that line too. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you talked about Skura coming off that injury on the PUP list right now. Mm-hmm. Tackle is obviously still a strength. Love both of those guys and what they bring to the table. But O-line, there's going to be some fluctuation. So I think as far as the offense, like I said, national attention is going to be heaped upon them for what they did last year. But I think there's probably going to be some slight drop off. I'm pretty jazzed about the defense, though, man. All the additions they made, Wolf and Campbell, they went out and they hit a lot of doubles, if not triples. And I just like it, man. I think Queen has a chance to be a home run pick there in the first round, especially the way that he fits into this Wink Martindale defense. They sneaky just made a lot of additions to it, and it was already really good, maybe even undervalued for how good it was last season, and pumped to see what they can do moving forward.
Yeah, I was on somebody's Twitch stream last night.
You were Twitching?
I was on somebody else's Twitch stream, so I haven't been on my stream in a while. But they were asking me some football questions, and I decided to hop in the Discord and answer some things. And that was a question that they brought up. What are you expecting to have better production? Was their question, offense or defense, instead of who has higher expectations? I wanted to throw a little bit of my own twist on it. But like you said, the Ravens defense looks like they should shut teams down to fewer than 17 points every single game. You don't expect them to give up more than 2 touchdowns in a game. You don't expect teams to cross midfield all that much with a defense packed like them. And I went through it. I think it's worth going through again. But if you look at the defense and you look at the players in the positions, and this is barring 0 injuries, which is very uncommon in the NFL, but the Ravens have been particularly healthy since Steve Saunders has really developed the strength and conditioning program for the players. But free safety, you have multi-All-Pro, multi-Pro Bowl, and Super Bowl champion Earl Thomas. Beside him is Chuck Clark, who was one of the higher graded safeties by Pro Football Focus once he stepped into the starting role, and far superior to Tony Jefferson, if we're going to be calling balls and strikes. At cornerback 1 and 2, you have 2 all-pro players from last season rejoining the roster. At cornerback 3 and cornerback 4, you have Jimmy Smith and Tavon Young, who are both excellent players. At inside linebacker, you got a first-round draft pick, Patrick Queen. You got a third-round draft pick in Malik Harrison. Both of them are expected to do well. You don't have to put too high of expectations on them because the rest of the roster is stacked. The Ravens have Matt Judon at outside linebacker. Next to him is going to be Calais Campbell, multi-All-Pro, multi-Pro Bowl, Defensive Player of the Year. He's a superhuman. And then you have Brandon Williams. You got Derek Wolfe. And then the only other big question mark on defense is that second outside linebacker spot, be it Jalen Ferguson, Tyus Bowser, Pernell McPhee maybe. Maybe you get Jihad Ward back to standing up. But overall, this roster is loaded with talent, which alleviates pressure from Queen and Harrison while knowing full well that's so many playmakers. That's so many names and household names, and not just Ravens household names, but like NFL household names that are on the roster right now. And I think this defense is going to be higher in production than the offense is, and it'll help both of them because the defense will get off the field faster, which helps the offense get more tries and so on and so forth. You know how it's got a yin and a yang to it, but this defense is, I have fucking high hopes for it in 2020.
Yeah, man, me too. Just all the additions, the fact that they were able to retain Martindale, which is not something that was a slam dunk, I think, this past offseason. It's got me pretty jazzed up. So I'm right there with you. I have higher expectations for the defense. I think nationally, offense expectations are going to be high. But ultimately, I think some people are going to be right for a little bit of a letdown in that category. But regardless, pretty high expectations for both. The defense a little bit higher for me.
I think that's fair. I'm going to jump to I was able to ask Mark Ingram the question about how important it was to because he mentioned that it was awesome that they kept both offensive and defensive coordinator, even though he only plays as a running back. But he talked about how much he loved having Wink there and Greg or G-Row. And so I was able to ask, what about how awesome it is to have the continuity and all these playmakers back that he was praising. And he said it was enormous to have both of those guys back, both OC and DC. And Ravens fans are obviously celebrating the fact that Martindale's back and he's got even more playmakers and better and more high octane additions than we've seen in this defense over the last few years for sure.
Definitely. Is that all we got, bud?
I think that's it for today.
All right. Well, that was really fun. Appreciate you hopping on with me. A little bit impromptu here, went almost an hour. So that is going to be a good one for the folks on Friday. Where can the people find you on the social medias?
On social media, we're going to go with Twitter first. It's at @BB_Kyle P. Barber. Facebook, please follow our Baltimore Beatdown Facebook page. On Twitter, also follow @Podcast Beatdown. Love the work that Jake and Spencer do, and I have just so much praise for these two guys and what they've done with this podcast. So take it from their boss, so to speak, that you should follow these guys on social media. And please, more than anything, subscribe to the YouTube channel. These guys have we're live streaming it. I could see my strange face on the camera right now and on YouTube. So following that and subscribing to it is a big help. Liking those videos, all the generic comments, smash the subscribe button, please. Whatever works. Support these guys because they've done some incredible work and they've really taken flight with this podcast. And you've done a great job, man, for sure.
Well, I appreciate that very much, Ben. I wasn't expecting to get fluffed here on a Thursday evening, but I will always kindly take it. Once again, that is at Jake Luke, LOUQUE, and at Podcast Beatdown, where you can follow me and the show. Follow Kyle at @BB_Kyle P. Barber, like he just said. And yeah, like he said, keep checking out that YouTube page. I'm going to try to refine it a little bit more. I know I've only been posting the live streams, but hopefully going to get some upgrades going to the streaming platform that we're using here soon. And just keep working with those Adobe tools that I have and try to put together some more high quality stuff for you guys. But in the meantime, I hope this episode was high quality for everyone. And we will check you guys on the other side of the weekend. Peace out.
Peace.